Phoenix, Scottsdale, Tempe.
Next time on the Vietnam War, casualties mount as U.S. Marines dig in at Con Tien.
We were being called the Alamo. You know, hey, we knew what the Alamo was.
And the Battle of Dak To takes a staggering toll when the Vietnam War continues.
Next on Arizona PBS. Thanks for watching Arizona PBS, a viewer-supported community service of Arizona State University.
If you are 60 or over, consider a charitable gift annuity with Arizona PBS. A charitable gift annuity will provide you a steady stream of income during your lifetime and also help ensure that Arizona PBS is available for future generations.
Coming up next on Arizona PBS, Life and World.
Arizona PBS congratulates its winners of 4 2017 Emmy Awards. Check Please Arizona led the way with 2 wins as Arizona PBS continued its tradition of producing award-winning local programming and its dedication to excellence for viewers like you.
Coming soon to Arizona PBS.
You cannot cut back on the First Amendment.
Unfortunately, because truth is just an option, it's very hard to discern what is truth and what is not.
People have the ability to express themselves in ways that are unorthodox or unconventional, and that then creates more thinking and debate, and pretty soon you've got full-blown movements, and a lot of them start on universities.
Support for Arizona PBS comes from viewers like you and from
Hospice of the Valley, medical, social, and spiritual care for patients nearing end of life, and support for their families. A not-for-profit community hospice, HOV.org.
Deanne Griebel, now with Moores & Cabot Investments, serving investors since 1890, proudly supports quality programming on 8 Arizona PBS, 480-725-9602.
From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
And there are times when we must risk our careers in favor of our principles. Now is such a time. Mr. President, I rise today to say enough.
Arizona Senator Jeff Flake announces he'll step down at the end of his term in a historic speech. We'll hear from him and his colleague Senator John McCain.
And Flake's speech was also a rallying cry for discontent with Donald Trump and the current state of politics. We talk with experts and hear from some of the candidates now running for Flake's seat.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Ryan Curry.
And I'm Maya Petros. Thank you for joining us. A historic afternoon in the nation's capital as Arizona Senator Jeff Flake says enough. The longtime Arizona politician delivered a speech to say he will not run for re-election next year, saying he could no longer be complicit with President Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
I've decided that I would be better able to represent the people of Arizona and to better serve my country and my conscience by freeing myself of the political consideration that consume far too much bandwidth and would cause me to compromise far too many principles. To that end, I am announcing today that my service in the Senate will conclude at the end of my term in early January 2019. I am aware that there is a segment of my party that believes that anything short of complete and unquestioning loyalty to a president who belongs to my party is unacceptable and suspect. Now it seems that we, the architects of this visionary, rules-based world order that has brought so much freedom and prosperity, are the ones most eager to abandon it. The notion that one should stay silent and as the norms and values that keep America strong are undermined, and as the alliances and agreements that ensure the stability of the entire world are routinely threatened by the level of thought that goes into 140 characters. The notion that we should say or do nothing in the face of such mercurial behavior is ahistoric, and I believe profoundly misguided. The personal attacks, the threats against principles, freedoms and institution, the flagrant disregard for truth and decency, The reckless provocations, most often for the pettiest and most personal reasons, reasons having nothing whatsoever to do with the fortunes of the people that we have been elected to serve. None of these appalling features of our current politics should ever be regarded as normal. It is time for our complicity and our accommodation of the unacceptable to end.
Arizona Senator John McCain, who's living with brain cancer, has been publicly sparring with the president over his leadership as well. Moments after Senator Flake's speech today, McCain took to the floor to commend Flake's service.
I have seen Jeff Flake stand up for what he believes in, knowing full well that there would be a political price to pay. So as we look, all of us, at some point at our time that we have spent here, whether it be short or whether it be long, we look back and we think about what we could have done, what we should have done, what we might have done, and the mistakes we made and the things we're proud of. Well, when the Flake service to this country and this Senate is reviewed, it will be one of honor, of brilliance, and patriotism and love of country.
Flake's announcement sent shockwaves through the Capitol. About an hour after his speech, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders called Flake's decision, quote, probably a good move, but so far no statement from President Trump himself. Now for the latest from the Capitol, let's go live to Cronkite News reporter Trevor Fay, who's at our Washington bureau.
We caught up with Senator Flake today after his floor speech, and he says that even though he's not running for re-election, there is still much work that he needs to do on the Capitol before he's done. This includes getting Congress to weigh in on military conflicts around the globe and finding a way to protect DACA recipients. Flake says that even though he has had some antagonism with President Trump, he still believes that the president wants to protect those kids under DACA, and he's committed to finding a way to work with the president on that. But he says that otherwise the current political climate has discouraged him from running.
If I could run the kind of race I'd like to run and believe I could win a Republican primary, I might go forward.
When asked if he had done all that he needs to do in the Senate, Flake said, "You're never done." But he said that he's still in office for another 15 months and he plans to work right up until the end. Live in Washington, Trevor Fay, Cronkite News.
All eyes will be on Arizona's Senate race in 2018. With the incumbent out, we could see an increase in candidates throwing their hats into the ring. 4 candidates have declared so far, most notably Dr. Kelly Ward on the Republican side and current 9th District Representative Kyrsten Sinema. We talked to political consultant Stan Barnes about what this means for those candidates, and he says today is a bad day for Kelly Ward. She needs to come up with a different campaign strategy.
She was about to have a one-on-one with a weak, or at least a senator that was in trouble, and had one message, that she was not Jeff Flake. Now, she has an actual primary with other unknown people, some of whom may have a lot of money and name ID. And so her old playbook can be torn up and thrown in the Colorado River.
Dr. Kelly Ward was Flake's biggest challenger for the Republican nomination for Senate. The former Arizona state senator led in polls against Flake and was endorsed by President Trump and his supporters. Today, Ward tweeted, "Arizona voters are the big winner in Jeff Flake's decision to not seek re-election. They deserve a strong conservative in the Senate who supports the president and the America First agenda. Our campaign proudly offers an optimistic path forward for Arizona and America."
Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema is also running for the Senate seat. Early polling shows Sinema is leading in the Democratic primary. Sinema took to Twitter also after Flake's announcement, saying with Jeff Flake retiring, we must do everything we can to show we are ready to win.
Arizona Governor Doug Ducey and fellow Republican addressed Flake's announcement on Twitter as well, thanking him for representing Arizona and wishing his family the best. Ducey wrote, "Jeff was a voice for fiscal responsibility at the federal level before it was popular. I've appreciated his friendship, professionalism, and intellect on policy issues impacting Arizona."
Flake's departure from the Senate will bring an end to nearly 2 decades of his service on Capitol Hill. Jeff Flake is a 5th-generation Arizonan, and his family helped settle Snowflake, Arizona. He graduated from BYU and served as the executive director for the Foundation of Democracy in Namibia in 1987. Flake was executive director of the Goldwater Institute after he moved back to Arizona in 1992, and he then served in the U.S. House of Representatives for 12 years before winning a Senate seat in 2012. We have much more coverage on Flake's decision and the response online and on our Cronkite News social channels. You can find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
It's an often overlooked part for the fight for immigration, immigrants who are under temporary protected status. But today, outside the White House, a rally urged the administration to renew protections for countries whose agreements are soon to expire. Reporter Fraser Allen Best was there with the latest.
Yesenia Echeverria fears being sent home to her native El Salvador under the Trump administration, but not because of an end to DACA. She joined scores in a rally outside the White House calling for action on TPS, or temporary protected status.
We don't want to go back to our countries. We don't have security there, and we feel part of this great nation in here.
TPS grants work status to those who cannot return to their home country because of war or natural disaster. Under TPS, people like Echeverria from Arizona are exempted from deportation. Right now, the program applies to 10 countries, including Haiti and Syria, each needing separate renewal over the next year. While the White House has no official statement, many fear the implications of what they see as anti-immigrant sentiment. Protesters stress that ending the program and deporting those it covers would mean separating families. Emmanuel Mervelis is with the American Friends Service Committee, a human rights group.
This is what it's all about, dividing the family. How can you have a family if a family is divided?
Many at the protest push for an 18-month extension on the January expiration for Haiti's TPS agreement to negotiate a long-term solution. Protesters feel DACA, which protects the children of undocumented immigrants, often dominates the conversation on immigration reform. But as a mother, Echeverria says the issues aren't altogether separate.
Our kids, they are DACA too. We came first and they are our DACAs now.
In Washington, Fraser Allen Best, Cronkite News.
The TPS agreement for Echeverria's home country of El Salvador is up for expiration in March of 2018.
Valley teachers protested their pay Monday with peanuts. They delivered bags to the governor's office. Cronkite News reporter Steven Sidner went to the Capitol to crack open the problem the teachers are facing.
We have over 1,000 classrooms in the state that don't have any qualified teacher in them, and we have had over 500 teachers already quit this year.
Joe Thomas, president of the Arizona Education Association, says teachers deserve the 10, 15, and 20% raises given to Governor Doug Ducey's staff.
It's outrageous. It's demeaning, and it shows a lack of leadership and decisiveness on the part of the governor. We demand that the governor match those raises with our teachers right now.
Thomas believes that Arizona teachers deserve a 20% raise.
We believe that teachers across the state would stay, commit to our school districts, commit to our students, and even more so, we would recruit new teachers to the schools and make sure that they would feel safe and want to be able to be part of our state and stay longer.
AEA Vice President Marisol Garcia also suggests the state should look at creative ways to fund the raise, possibly through corporate taxes. Parents like Melinda Ayers are concerned low pay is driving good teachers out of the state and the profession.
Last year, one of them left the profession entirely because she realized she could make more money waiting tables.
In a statement to Cronkite News, Patrick Patak, Governor Doug Ducey's senior press secretary, said, in most cases, raises were given through promotion with expanded roles and responsibilities using existing dollars. Patak additionally said that new dollars are going to education, including $68 million for a permanent pay raise for teachers. Meanwhile, Garcia is begging parents to stand with them.
I want you to join us and demand that we're treated with the respect that we deserve.
In Phoenix, Steven Sidner, Cronkite News.
Ducey's office also says that the governor's office has not increased its budget since 2008.
Technology is improving the medical field.
That's right, and making it easier for doctors to treat conditions they weren't able to before. Coming up on Cronkite News, a look at the new innovations that will help doctors help patients.
Plus, the extra training some of Arizona's female firefighters are doing to get a leg up on the job.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
When a story comes in the morning, we're out the door as fast as we can go.
But it's also great to spend more time in communities and produce projects.
From the borderlands to the cities, the reservations, and even the state capitol, we want to get to the heart of the matter.
When the lights come on in the studio, we know our hard work is about to pay off.
We love what we do here at Cronkite News.
We're proud to tell the stories of our state.
Now, more than ever, it's important to have a trusted news source, and that's Cronkite News.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. Join us each weekday at 5:30 and 10 as we bring you the top newsmakers who impact the state. We cover the stories in depth that shape and affect our local communities, and we take the time to ensure that all voices are equally heard. For more than 30 years, Arizona Horizon has been your voice and your source for what matters most, right here on Arizona PBS.
A mobile learning lab teaches medical workers how to use a tiny heart pump to ease the patient experience during surgery. Reporter Mia Atkins explains what the public and the medical community learned during a Phoenix stop.
People like pre-med student Rania Gotti got a chance to use the Impella, a tiny heart pump that mimics the actual heart function, at a mobile learning lab that travels around the country.
This is going to help out all throughout the levels of my education.
The pump may be smaller than a pen, but it has a very big job. The pump is inserted through an incision in the patient's groin, and it travels up to the left ventricle of the heart. Dr. Robert Strumpf at Abrazo Heart Hospital calls the technology a significant innovation.
The ability to assist the heart, really take the work off the heart, is a very important ability that we have now with this tool. Better than we had before, in fact.
Jamie Mayberry is a nurse practitioner who believes the training will help her work with patients with serious heart problems.
Patients that were much more ill in the past are going to actually be able to have this treatment and live and have a much better quality of life after the treatment.
And patients who may not have been able to receive treatment can now get help.
It's spread out the scope of contact for us to treat older, sicker patients with other problems that we just couldn't even treat before.
He also says the pump can be a temporary fix while a patient recovers from a heart attack. Medical improvements like these are why Gotti is excited about the future of medicine.
I think that's what medicine is. It needs to keep evolving, it needs to keep progressing, and this type of activities help to advance that.
In Phoenix, Mia Atkins, Cronkite News.
Women are helping women prepare for one physically demanding career, firefighting. Reporter Sydney Eisenberg takes us to the training center to show us what they go through.
The Valley Women's Firefighter Society is trying to encourage women to become firefighters by giving them the skills needed before they're hired by a department.
You can go to the gym and you can work out and you can be physically fit, but as soon as you put on a pair of turnouts and you start working with various tools that firefighters work with, it's a whole nother ball game.
At the Phoenix Fire Training Academy, the group tackles each task that firefighters handle on a daily basis, from simulating breaking into an attic to put out a fire, to pulling fire hoses up 2 stories.
Don't let go of that left hand. Not only do we work on physical skills, we also work on talking about what the fire department's like, what the station life is like, what we're going to be expecting of you in the academy, on probation, throughout your career, and what's going to make you successful.
According to the National Fire Protection Association, between 2011 and 2015, only 4.6% of firefighters were women. While these classes are open to men, Graziano says they're especially helpful for the women who attend.
This is just sort of a tool that helps, more women come on the job and let them know that, hey, this is out here. We want you guys. We want great, strong, willing, positive women to be on this job and be role models for, younger girls and that generation coming up.
In Phoenix, Sydney Eisenberg, Cronkite News.
The Valley Women's Firefighter Society offers these classes 3 times a month.
It's becoming easier for cyclists to use the Valley's roadways.
And for drivers to share the road too. Coming up on Cronkite News, how road improvements will help separate traffic and make travel safer.
And we set a record here in Phoenix today. More on that, as well as when we can expect a bit of relief coming up.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
This fall.
I'm so excited!
What?
From the inspiring to the amazing.
You're in the presence of history.
The compelling.
He said, welcome home. It was just a powerful moment.
To the astounding.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
And from the breathtaking.
This is real.
A journey to Mars.
To the electrifying.
We're going to change the world.
All this and more. All this fall.
Oh my God!
Fridays, it's at Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Then join us for at Cronkite News, our weekly refresh, each Friday at 5 on Arizona PBS.
Trying to navigate traffic in the valley can be treacherous. It can be even more dangerous when you're on 2 wheels instead of 4. Cronkite News reporter Bailey Moore shows us how some new street improvements could help separate traffic and make sharing the road with cyclists a little safer.
I was riding on the sidewalk, and as I was crossing over an opening where a parking lot enters into the road, a car pulled out to look to see if they could go left, and didn't look at the sidewalk and ended up hitting me on my bike and totaling my bike.
Roy Banwell is one of nearly 1,500 bicyclists involved in crashes with cars reported in Arizona in 2016. As the Phoenix metropolitan area continues to grow, so does the need for traffic accommodations, especially when it comes to sharing the road.
So there's a large group of people, they're known as interested but concerned. It's about 60% of the adult population. They have this kind of nostalgia for bicycling, or they want to learn to ride a bike.
Among the many transformations, the city of Phoenix has incorporated its first protected bike path, outlined by flexible bollards to separate vehicle and bicycle traffic. Visible signs, buffer zones, bike share programs, and isolated paths have also been implemented, not just to control the traffic, but to bring the community together, just like the good old days.
The friendships you build with other cyclists, fellow cyclists, they're fantastic. I mean, they're really powerful, really strong. You see people once a week, and you're not seeing them at work, you're not seeing them at school, you're seeing them in a social opportunity, and the social capital and establishing social bonds is really, really important to building a strong community.
In Phoenix, Bailey Moore, Cronkite News.
Well, if you're looking to change up your commute, bicycle group route resources are available online. And if you're going for a ride, you might want to pack some water.
Especially because temperatures in the valley are still warm. Emily Bloom's in the Weather Center with a look at what we can expect.
Yes, not only are our temperatures well above average for this time of year, but we did set a record today. Phoenix Sky Harbor hit 97 degrees at about 12:30 this afternoon. The previous record on this day was 96 back in 2014. And we do have a couple of watches and warnings across the region right now. As you can see, LA right there in the fuchsia, they are under an excessive heat warning. The areas here in red flag warning. That is just because of all of the very high temperatures mixed with that very dry air is bringing up the risk for fires across the region. We have got 93 down in Tucson at the moment, 68 in Show Low, 66 up at the Grand Canyon, and 65 for those of you in Flagstaff. Taking a look at our futurecast, we've been under this area of high pressure. This has been the dominant force in our weather pattern over the past couple of days, but as we head into tomorrow, it's going to move off to the west and probably even off of the coast. And as that happens, it's going to give this area of low pressure the opportunity to move into the Four Corners region. As that happens, it's going to pull drier air into our state, kicking up those winds and pulling those temperatures down. By Wednesday, we are down to 94 degrees, and we fall into those high 80s for your weekend. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Emily Bloom.
Phoenix's largest scale shopping mall is getting a makeover.
In hopes that it will become the busy hub that it once was. Coming up on Cronkite News, a look at the renovations of the 60-year-old Park Central Mall and how it could impact the Valley next.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Exploring, it's the lifeblood of the mission.
Human beings are a curious bunch.
What are we going to see when we get really close?
Wow.
Just because an idea is crazy, it's not necessarily wrong.
We were on our way.
You don't get anywhere until you've tested the limits.
That carries an intensity you can't imagine.
You could hear people just, whoa.
Oh my God, absolutely spectacular.
It's a rush. We ask a lot of our heroes.
We are at a remarkable moment.
We're going farther than any exploration ever has.
Park Central Mall, Phoenix's first large-scale shopping mall, is on the verge of a transformation. Holly Bach finds out what the future could look like for this space.
I think it's going to turn into the hip, cool new place to hang out.
Two real estate companies, Plaza Companies and Holualoa Companies, recently bought 337,000 square feet of Park Central Mall in hopes of reviving the area near Central and Osborne.
Park Central will once again be the glorious hub it once was.
The mall originally started on 46 acres of land and opened in 1957 in Uptown Phoenix. It housed major department stores such as Goldwater's and Diamonds. As those stores closed, the mall became more of a business center, but those large trees and shady areas we remember will remain.
We will be creating a number of indoor-outdoor spaces where people can gather, where they can connect, where they can meet to talk about business opportunities, to enjoy the environment.
The two real estate companies will be renovating this area you see right behind me to turn it into a more creative and versatile environment for visitors, workers, and their employers. The plans preserve the mid-century modern architecture and open space with the high ceilings and a variety of exposed roof structures, retail shopping, and restaurants.
By next summer, it'll be, shaded outdoor landing space with cool restaurants. So I think we'll see the first tenants move in certainly within the next 6 to 8 months into the space.
Harper says they're still working on filling the spaces with tenants. In Phoenix, Holly Bach, Cronkite News.
Construction for Park Central will start this December, and it's set to be finished next fall.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, how the Arizona Teachers Academy is attempting to address the state's teacher shortage, and a look at the challenges that disabled employees find in the workplace. It's the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour. The fallout from a massive school cheating scandal where teachers were the ones doing the cheating. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Next time on Finding Your Roots, 3 African Americans rethink old assumptions about their ancestry.
I didn't think that this was possible. It makes me so happy.
When I think about Black folks, I think about struggle.
Incredible experience.
Finding Your Roots.
Tonight at 7 on Arizona PBS. Explore new ideas and new worlds here on Arizona PBS, a community